3 years ago, I bought this, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Now, this is the 2018 model with the full screen display and everything, Face ID, USB-C, the works. And I think it's held up incredibly well since then. Reviewers at the time talked about it being ahead of its time, and I think that really holds up today as the 2021 iPads look basically the same in most ways. They're definitely better in some key areas, but in terms of design, this definitely still feels very, very modern. But I'm actually replacing this with something new. No, not a Mac, and not another iPad Pro. I'm actually replacing it with this, the iPad Air. Let me explain. This video is proudly sponsored by Drafts, an awesome note-taking app, writing app, and automation powerhouse for the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Drafts is a free download from the App Store and has tons of power built in, but there's also a pro subscription you can opt into to unlock more capabilities. But Drafts thankfully isn't one of those apps where you subscribe and then wonder, where is my money going? What are they doing? Drafts is constantly getting software updates to improve and add new functionality that makes the app a better value for you. In the past few months, they've released a couple key features such as custom themes where you can design your own, you can download ones that the community has built. I've actually made a couple that I think look really nice. One's called Warm and Bright, the other one's called Dark and Friendly. I'll put links in the description for those. They've also released home screen widget customization, so you can make your widgets on your home screen look really aesthetic. There's Google Tasks and Microsoft To Do integration, and tons of other just small updates that make the app better. You can download Drafts for free on all of your Apple devices today, and I'd like to thank Drafts for sponsoring a better computer. It's super cliche to say out loud, but when it comes to my relationship with the iPad Pro, it's not you, it's me. I've changed. In the 3 years I've owned this iPad Pro, it's only gotten better. The software updates it's received have made it more capable, the hardware still feels really fast and really futuristic, and the Magic Keyboard and cursor support that launched in early 2020 really gave it a kick in the right direction. I'm definitely someone who uses my iPad for more than the average person. I do all the content consumption stuff that everyone else does. I read on it, I watch videos, I play games. But I also do a lot more. I edit videos, I edit photos, I run my entire freelance business from it. I even use it as part of my video workflow. Even though I moved my editing to a Mac, I still use it as part of my video production process. But I got the biggest iPad I could buy for two main reasons. Reason number one was I was doing video editing on the iPad. I was going to be doing lots of video editing in LumaFusion, and when it comes to video editing, the more screen real estate you can give it, the better it's going to be. So I wanted to have the biggest iPad I could get. Two, I also knew that I wanted to get involved more in multitasking on the iPad. Multitasking features were getting improved. They continue to improve in iPadOS 15 that's coming in a few weeks. And I wanted to be there, I wanted to use all that stuff, and I thought I was going to be multitasking like crazy on the iPad. Well, since then, I've moved my video editing process to the Mac. I have an M1 MacBook Air that I use for video editing in ScreenFlow and Final Cut Pro. And I don't really multitask that much. In practice, even though it's there and I can do it, I really find myself using apps in full screen the vast majority of the time. And not only that, I've actually found myself in recent months pulling the iPad off the Magic Keyboard a lot of the time to use it in kind of tablet mode. And the 12.9-inch screen is hilariously big for that. So a few months ago, I decided it was time for me to change my iPad. I wanted a smaller iPad, and for me, that meant the 11-inch models were kind of what I was looking at. And Apple makes two of them, of course. So there's the iPad Pro 11-inch and the iPad Air 10.9-inch. They're effectively the same. So obviously between those two products, the iPad Pro is the superior product. It's better across the board in terms of specs, but it's several $100s more, and I was wondering, do I actually need to spend that, or am I going to be spending hundreds of dollars just to be able to say I have the best that exists? And this iPad Air is really no slouch. It's got a great P3 display with small bezels, it has an A14 chip which is really fast, it has USB-C, and it even has the 4-speaker kind of array that the 2018 iPad Pro introduced, and I think is a really underrated feature of the iPads in general. But it does have two regressions over the 2018 iPad Pro that I was going to notice. It ditches Face ID for Touch ID, and it loses the 120Hz ProMotion display for a 60Hz display. Touch ID I can deal with. It's not as convenient to me as Face ID, and it is actually a little slower than I was hoping. It's definitely slower than the M1 Max with Touch ID. but it's fine. It's reliable, it works. I know how it's going to work. I don't have to worry about orienting the device and everything. It's fine. The 60Hz screen is definitely taking some getting used to for me though. I think high refresh displays are kind of like Retina about 10 years ago, where you don't necessarily think you need it until you have it, and then it's impossible to go back. So even though my Mac and my iPhone are at 60 Hz and I'm used to using those screens and it's fine, I've just gotten used to what an iPad looks like to use, and I'm used to it looking great at 120 Hz. And so when it goes at 60 Hz, it almost felt broken at first, but I'm getting used to it. It's not as fluid. It doesn't feel quite as magical. I can actually see why someone who doesn't have a 120 Hz screen wouldn't think the iPad is that special, because I think part of the fluidity, part of the greatness of an iPad Pro is that 120 Hz, and it really elevates the experience. And so this is a little more pedestrian. It's a little less fancy, but again, this was kind of the purpose for me. I didn't need the absolute best of the best, but it's definitely something I've noticed. So a few days in, I'm feeling pretty darn good about my decision. It's really refreshing to have an iPad I can hold in tablet mode and not feel ridiculous. And as stupid as it sounds, I really like having a blue iPad. I will definitely miss Face ID and the higher refresh screen especially, but I think I'll be okay. I'm going to get used to it and it's going to be fine. And one of the things this whole process has made me think about is in tech, and other things I'm sure as well, other niches, but in tech especially, should I be buying the best version of whatever that I can afford, or should I be buying the thing that gets the job done for me and saves me money? I think often we feel compelled to buy the best thing we can afford. So if I have money in the bank, or I have a credit card with a limit available for me to buy the more expensive thing, I'm going to buy the more expensive thing because I don't want to know that there's something better out there, right? I even feel it with this iPad, where I've got this really great iPad that does everything I need, but I know that there's a version out there that has a higher refresh screen, that is a little faster, that has Face ID and like has the fancy camera stuff and everything. And my instinct is to be like, ooh, I kind of want that newer, better thing, but this totally gets the job done for me. It's a fantastic product and I don't need more. It would have cost me at least $300 more to get this, to get the Pro version of the same size iPad. And I frankly would rather either save that $300 or put it back into this YouTube channel in something else, some piece of software, some other piece of gear that would help me make better videos for you guys. And since the 2018 iPad Pro held its value so well, it actually sold for more than the cost of this Air, so I actually have no money out of pocket. So that was a big deal for me as well. I have no money out of pocket to get this better experience for myself versus the Pro, where I'd get a slightly better experience for sure, but it would have cost me a few $100, and I really don't want to do that, especially at the start of September when Apple's about to release a ton of new products that I'm definitely going to be buying for this channel to review, to do all the stuff. So yeah, that was a real appeal to me as well. But yeah, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this was an entertaining video for you. I'd love to hear in the comments if you are looking at a new iPad, what iPad you're looking at, what considerations you're making. I'd love to hear what your mental math is on this. If you like the video, throw a like down below. That's the best thing you can do to help this channel grow. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.